about Vidya Parampara. Vidya Parampara is a community-driven, volunteer-supported organization headed by Srimati Varsha Ramesh. She, she is a disciple of Pujya Shri Swami Omkarananda. She is qualified in the study of Sanskrit Bhashyams or commentaries to our great works like Ramayanam, etc., under the tutelage of Dr. Shukavanam Krishnan. She conducts classes on Ramayanam, Saundarya Lahari, Vishnu Sahasranamam, and many more stotrams. We learn a lot from these classes, where we understand the complete detailed meaning along with easy chanting guides. A large number of children and adults attend our live classes which shape our character and teach us the eternal values of our Sanatana Dharma. Through our YouTube channel called Vidya Parampara, which we started in July 2021, we share what we learn in these classes and try to instill the knowledge of our Dharma in children and youth of today's world. To this end, we have over 450 videos covering over 10 full learning series with detailed chanting guides, meanings, and stories. We also have many standalone Stotram videos and special videos like today's session. Our views have crossed more than 1 million and we have a large subscriber base from all over the world. I take this opportunity to request all of you to subscribe to our channel, watch and learn from our videos, and share the gift of knowledge with your friends and family. You can use the pasted QR codes to subscribe to our channel. Our channel and all our classes are free of cost, keeping with the tradition that our timeless knowledge is priceless. We, as students, learn with complete Shraddha and Bhakti. We hope you will enjoy this live presentation, which follows the very impactful presentation on Bhaja Govindam by the same team. We have done Vishnu Sahasranamam chanting, Aditya Hridayam, Shamala Dandakam, and Shiva Stotram presentations in various public venues. Now, I shall introduce the presenters of today's session, Dr. Girija Krishnan, a very famous pediatrician of over 30 years of experience. Dr. Girija Krishnan needs no introduction in Twin Cities. She is presently serving as a director of Basant Sahni Hospital. Giving back to society in whichever way she can is the sankalpa she has taken. She has been doing a systematic study of our scriptures and has prepared easy to understand summaries on over 90 topics and has presented them as talks in her daily online satsang. This satsang is made up of her doctor friends who have known each other for over 50 plus years. In her own words, these summaries are meant not just a group, but for today's youth to learn and benefit from. She has given a talk earlier in our channel titled Nurturing Young Minds, which has been very useful to parents of young children. She has conducted an interactive session on Bhaja Govindam through stories last year at the same venue. The videos of her talks are available on the Vidya Parampara YouTube channel. At Basant Sahni Hospital, she conducts a talk titled Uttama Praja, How to Bring Up Your Child to be a Noble Child. This is a very popular program and has been going on for the last 10 years. She is a part of several youth-oriented programs in the Ramakrishna Math, apart from volunteering her time in the free clinic there. She is also a part of several youth programs at Ramakrishna Math. With a very deep interest in Tiruppugar, she presently serves as the chairperson of Tiruppugar Anbargal, the esteemed organization started by Guruji A.S. Raghavan. Now about Kumari Vembu Pushkala. R. Vembu Pushkala is an ardent lover of Carnatic music. She is an upcoming Carnatic vocalist and performs concerts in the Twin Cities. She has a keen interest in spiritual music and also learning shlokas like Narayaniyam, Tiruppugar, and works of Maharanyam Sri Sri Muralidhara Swamiji. She is a torchbearer of Sanatana Dharma of today's younger generation. She was introduced to the divine art of music at a very tender age. She is presently under the tutelage of Dr. Mridula Ashwin and under the able guidance of Sangeeta Kalanidhi, Neyveli Shri R. Santana Gopalan. She has participated in various music competitions conducted by prestigious sabhas in the Twin Cities and has won many prizes therein. She is also a recipient of Pandit Jasraj Scholarship. She has been selected for All India Radio Yuvavani program. She is presently pursuing final year graduation in commerce. Now, we will have a brief introduction by Dr. Girija Krishnan on today's topic before the chanting of Dhyana Shlokas by the students of
Swami Vivekananda's birthday. It is a great coincidence. Swamiji's birthday is celebrated as the Youth Day, and it's a great coincidence, and it's a blessing for us that we are doing a program for the youth involving the youth. So I am very happy that finally this program did go through several dates and finally it got fixed for today, not realizing or not remembering at that time that today is Swamiji's birthday. So, and the mainstay of Swamiji's works is arise, awake, stop not until the goal is reached. So now that we are all arising and awaking, so I think let us continue to do what we are doing in a more seriously, in a better manner. So now you must all be wondering why a person like me is sitting here and trying to talk about Gita. Well, yeah, you're right in thinking about that. But we have been reading various texts about the Gita right from our younger age. But recently we came across a very interesting book. This is a book in which every chapter of Gita is covered with stories which are from the parables of Sri Ramakrishna. And this book of parables we have already read, but never knew that you could link each story to Gita's chapters. So when this book, recently when I came across this book, it is really very interesting, and I thought this would be the best way for us to introduce the Gita, or at least give the basics of the Gita to our youth. So I'm so happy that so many children are here, and even here there are several younger generation people. So it's nice to see that. So now coming to the topic. See, Gita, we all know, it consists of 18 chapters and it has 700 shlokas. And in that, we know also that it is a dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna in the war field. So imagine it just while getting ready for a war, when both the armies are ready to hit each other, and at that time, there has been, Arjuna comes forward and he asks whatever questions, and then Krishna has given such a doctrine atmosphere. So that itself puts us in awe of the whole situation. And especially when you go to Kurukshetra and really see that, it really makes us feel good. And all these chapters are important. Every word of this is important. See, Gita is a part of the Bhishma Parva in Mahabharata. And Mahabharata, we all know it is a huge grantha which has got more than 1,20,000 shlokas. So anybody even with immense patience will think 100 times before going through it in detail. And if you take the books, every parva, 18 parvas, every parva has a book. So it's almost impossible for us to go through So in that, this Gita was completely submerged in that. It was Adi Shankara in the 8th century who brought it out of the Mahabharata and highlighted the importance of the Bhagavad Gita. So that is when, after the 8th century, this got a separate identity. And once he identified and brought it out and wrote a bhashyam of that, any number of translations, and I believe there are in 82 languages the Bhagavad Gita has been written.
and out of which only 20 or 25 are from India. The others are all foreign languages. So Gita has been translated and written in so many languages across the globe. So that is how it came to be known to the world. And everybody feels, Gita reading should be done post-retirement. There's no hurry for it. Why should we all get into it now? We are all busy doing whatever we are doing. But truly speaking, I believe, I'm not saying it, I'm saying what the book has said. So it is for the man in samsara. The whole doctrine is for us, people who are in this samsara, in the grahastha ashrama, and who are trying to lead a normal life in this society, because the knowledge of the Gita will enable us to handle every problem in our life in a better manner. So here lots has been said about the greatness of Gita. It's a conversation, of course, between Krishna, Arjuna and Sanjaya. Sanjaya, even in those days, there was television. So almost he knew, he could see whatever was happening on the battlefield, and he was able to give a commentary of that to Dhritarashtra. So that was how it was done. So it's a practical Vedanta. And then Swami Vivekananda says, best commentary on the Upanishad is the Bhagavad Gita. See, all of us, we are all the time thinking and looking outward. And we are so enamored by what is happening in this world that we do not have time to go inward. So here is a huge 700 shlokas of the Gita, which is introducing us into this knowledge of yourself, what is within you. Most of us, every house will have a Gita, and that will be kept within it will be there. We will bring it out every Vijayadashami. It will come out for the puja, and again it will go back. Possessing a Gita alone is not sufficient. All of us should go through it. And truly, if you look into it, and especially after you all read this book, I will send the link to everybody who is present here. It is a wonderful book which gives you insight into the Gita in a very simple form. So it is said that we should all read one shloka every day and just think about it. Understand that? Just think about it. And we will find that every shloka we are able to correlate with some event in our life. So we should just take this point. So now coming to, because this is such a big, such an important important document, several saints and so many, all the composers and saints have written or composed about various aspects of Gita. So that is how I have asked Pushkala to sing. She's compositions of Arunagirinadar, a few Tirupugal, a couple of Tyagaraja Kritis, Utukada Kriti and Annamaya Kriti, and of course Paramacharya and Sri Ramakrishna, Ramana Maharishi. Everybody has said and written huge doctrine, huge bhashyas about Bhagavad Gita. So we have, now we will go to next, get ready. Here there are two principal ways that we are, the Sankhya Yoga and the Karma Yoga. These are the two main aspects of the Gita. Here in the Sankhya Yoga, we are made to understand that every Atma is the same. That is, we are talking of your Atma, my Atma, your, everybody's Atma is the same. That is the main thing in the Sankhya Yoga. And in Karma Yoga, we are saying that do your work without looking for the results. Both these are the mainstay of Bhagavad Gita. The summary of Bhagavad Gita is in these two. The most important points are in these two. Sankhya Yoga can be practiced in every ashrama. But Karma Yoga cannot be practiced by a sannyasi. That's the only difference between the two. Now we will go into the children will be reciting the Gita Dhyana Shloka, and after that we will proceed with the talk.
श्रीपरमात्मने नमः। पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवतां नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। नमोऽस्तुते व्यासविशालबुद्धे पुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयः प्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः। सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्सः सुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत्। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। भीष्मद्रोणतटा जयद्रथजला गान्धारनीलोत्पला शल्यग्राहवती कृपेण वहनी कर्णेन वेलाकुला अश्वत्थामविकर्णघोरमकरा दुर्योधनावर्तिनी सोत्तीर्णा खलु पाण्डवैरणनदी कैवर्तकः केशवः पाराशर्यवचः सरोजममलं गीतार्थगन्धोत्कटं नानाख्यानककेसरं हरिकथा सम्बोधनाबोधितं लोके सज्जनषट्पदैरहरः पेपीयमानं मुदा भूयात् भारतपङ्कजं कलिमल प्रध्वंसिनः श्रेयसे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुवन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यान्तं न विदुः सुरासुरगणा देवाय तस्मै नमः।
Arjuna saw his family, his relatives, his guru, his grandfather, his uncles, everybody on the opposite side, and also his own family on this side. He was completely despondency in Arjuna. That is what is said. That is, he was unable to progress and say that what is the point of killing so many people just for a piece of land. So when that kind of a thought came into him, he was unable to go forward, but he had the courage to ask this question. Maybe several other people also felt the same thing, but he had the courage to ask this question. He went forward and asked, why should I go ahead for this war? See, whenever we have to follow, the teaching here that has been said is, you have to follow your dharma. And following dharma is very difficult. So it is not an easy thing when everybody turns around and says, I have never done anything wrong. I have always been following dharma. That means something is wrong somewhere. Because there is always a dilemma when you will always be in crossroads. There will be two dharma and you will have to decide between the two. So here is a story where Arjuna's confusion. So here there is one saint who is a stickler to telling the truth. And it so happens that a merchant is being chased by a robber and he goes to this saint, this hermit. And then he hides in his ashrama. And at that time, after some time, the robber comes. And this hermit is in a dilemma, whether he should tell a lie and save this man's life or to tell the truth and allow him to be killed. He chose to tell the truth. So here in this situation, we have to, when there is a competition or when there is a dilemma between two dharmas, we have to choose the better one. So, ahimsa is always, it will supersede over every other aspect. So in this, it is said that now he gave him away and then that merchant was killed by the robber. So it is said that the killing of the robber, the sin of the killing of the robber, half of it goes to this hermit also. So this is the kind of, dilemmas that we all always go through. So hermit made a wrong decision. So now all of us, we get very confused. We say that you should not kill, and then you are telling that you should go to war. See, here we have to understand that safeguarding dharma is the duty of a Kshatriya. Now a Kshatriya, he has been trained. He has undergone several years of training, and in all of that, see, an astra, an instrument that is used in the war, that astra becomes a shastra only through mantras. And these mantras have been given to him by various devas. So then, as a Kshatriya, when he has been given this kind of knowledge, he is supposed to use it to safeguard dharma. So this point was made clear to him by Krishna at this juncture. So now here, though we say ahimsa is a very important, ahimsa goes above all that, but for safeguarding dharma, going to war is also accepted. So now we go on to the next, the knowledge of God, the Sankhya Yoga. In the Sankhya Yoga, Krishna is trying to tell Arjuna and tell all of us that the same Atma resides in each one of us. See, if we understand this point and really deeply understand it, we will never behave differently with anybody. If we understand that, why will we get angry, fight, all kinds of things will never happen. If I know that the same Atma is in this one, why will I get angry or do anything, any harmful act towards anybody? But understanding this is very difficult. Yes, at least theoretically we should know. And maybe for a few minutes in a day, at least we should implement it. We don't know. Maybe 24 hours, it's not possible. We are all normal human beings. But at least sometime in the day or somewhere, it should come back in our mind that this is an important point. So for this, see, why did Krishna choose Arjuna? For this, there is one story here to say that Arjuna, Dronacharya keeps one a kind of a test for all the brothers. So there he says, he puts a wooden bird on the tree and tells them that you have to cut off the neck of that bird. And then he calls each one of them. He calls Dhritarashtra, then he calls this one, Bhima, he calls all of them. And each one of them says, oh, I can see the tree, I can see the branches, I can see the leaves, I can see the sky, I can see everything. So, but when Arjuna comes, he says he can see only the bird. He can see only the bird's neck. He can't see anything else. So this concentration, this ability of Arjuna was understood by Krishna, and he was found to be worth giving this knowledge of the Gita. So here, this is something, there is a saying which says, Arjuna Bano, Arjuna Bano. This is not only for the children, it is for all of us. If we develop that kind of concentration to do our work, then we will get the knowledge of the Gita will come to us on its own. So let us all try to, at least the next generation, we have finished with our concentration. Now all of you at least try to concentrate on the work. So concentration is when you are studying, then books should be the important thing. If you are doing something, if you are out in using the rifle, then concentrate on the target. So concentrate on whatever you are doing. And if you do your thing wholeheartedly, at the end of the day, definitely there will be success. So if we do our duty to the best of our ability. So here in this chapter, there are several important shlokas. I am just picking up 2 of them. So everybody knows Karmanyevadikarasya. So that do your duty, do not worry about the result. So the example given here is, see, when suppose you are a farmer and you you have to take care. You have to get the good quality seeds. You have to take care of the soil. You have to till the soil. You have to water it throughout. And then if you do all this hard work, at the end, you may get a good crop if the weather doesn't trouble you. But if you don't do any of this, how will the crop come? So this work has to be done. So that is the importance of work. And if you do the work sincerely, the results will come on their own. And Arjuna asks Krishna, what is this? You say Sthita Pragya. What is this? So Sthita Pragya is, that is a person who does not show any reaction to extreme happiness or sadness or hot or cold or anything. That is, you are able to conquer or overcome the pairs of opposites and be a neutral person in every situation in life. So that is a very, very important thing which we all have to work for. Because, most of the time what happens, today's world, small problems, small things, just getting less marks. The best is when you go and see these entrance exam children. I did not get the top, I got the second, and that one goes and commits suicide. So these kind of things are absolutely meaningless. Children have to really understand whatever marks. Of course, you must study and get good marks in 10th and 12th. But later in life, let me tell you, your 10th marks have no value. Nobody looks at your 10th marks. But then the kind of thing that has put into your head because of our present education system, children are just going haywire.
బ్రహ్మమొక్కటే పర బ్రహ్మమొక్కటే బ్రహ్మమొక్కటే పర బ్రహ్మమొక్కటే చందనానాగి చందనానాపురి చందనానా భల చందనానా భల చందనా కండువగు హీనాదికము అందరికి శ్రీహరి అంతరాత్మా కండువగహీనాదికము హిందూదేవు అందరికి శ్రీహరే అంతరాత్మా హరే అంతరాత్మా ఇందులో జంతు కులమింతానొకటే అందరికి శ్రీహరే అంతరాత్మా ఇందులో జంతు కులమింతానొకటే అందరికి శ్రీహరే అంతరాత్మా చందనానాగి చందనానా పునే చందనానా భళ చందనానా భళ చందనానా.
So now we are going to chapter 3. This is Karma Yoga. See, when we hear the word yoga, we all think, or anything that is to do with Gita, our mind is, you have to leave everything, you have to become a sannyasi, you have to go and sit in the forest. Only then you can practice anything that is written in the Gita. That's our general feeling. That's why we keep a distance. We don't want to read till we become 60. But Gita doesn't say that. He says, in this world, in this grahastha-ashrama, in this where we are living today, we can practice everything. So for Karma Yoga, a beautiful story has been given. An uneducated person. There is a farmer who in his farm there is a swamp, and he hears a soft voice of some child calling for help from that swamp. And then he goes, helps that child, brings him back home and takes care of him. And next day, the father of that child, he's a very rich man, he comes to take his son. And he at that point says that, I will do something for you. He says, no, I have not done anything great. I have just helped somebody who was in trouble. So I don't need anything. So then when that rich man sees this farmer's son, he tells that I will educate him to whatever extent this child wants to be educated. I will take care of his education. So that was agreed upon. So this happened, and this father who was there, he was the senior Randolph Churchill, and this little boy who got stuck in the swamp was Winston Churchill. So he later became a big man. And this little boy, the farmer's son, became a great scientist, and then later he is Alexander Fleming, who is the father of penicillin. So I believe later in life, this Churchill, when he suffered with pneumonia, this penicillin came in useful. So this is the understanding. This is a very, very simple thought. But this is the understanding that we should have, that what goes around comes around. If good goes around, good comes back. If evil goes, evil comes back. So we should understand that if we do good, definitely good will come back to us. And this we have seen in life also. You take care of somebody's child, your child is taken care of. All of us have gone through this. We have seen this truly in our lives. So same thing. And if you read, you say, oh, it is chapter 3 in Bhagavad Gita, it is Karma Yoga. No? You feel it's, some big thing we cannot understand. This is what it is. What we are doing every day. If we just understand it a little more and take a little extra step to do what we are doing, I think we are there. We are almost there. So here, I just wanted to tell a small small incident that happened in the hospital. See, that we are all the time going, having in crossroads of which is the better dharma to take. Recently, one mother, pregnant woman who had come to the hospital, who was from a lower strata, who could not afford to come to our hospital anyway. So she came. And from the emergency, they checked her and immediately found that she is in distress. There is a need to go, and she is registered in Gandhi. So they immediately, in the same auto, they sent her away to Gandhi. And that there is a graph that comes. That when that graph came up to us, the CTG came up to us, so we said, oh my God, this baby will not reach Gandhi Hospital. On the way, it will go. So then, instantaneously, we had to take a decision. So, gynecologist, anesthetist, pediatrician, administration. Everybody within minutes took a decision, we will do it free. And we rang up that lady in the auto, and the same lady came back. And by the time 5 minutes that she came back, we had the OT ready, everybody scrubbed and ready. Baby was out in 10 minutes and it was a good baby. So, these are the kind of, everybody could have said, I can't do free. Well, how can the hospital do this? Or somebody says, I cannot do. But ultimately, when you come to think of it, it is that baby's karma also, that all of us were present in one place. We all took the decision in the right time. Lot of things. But see, my job is that I have to see that everybody pays the correct amount and goes. Otherwise, the hospital cannot run. But my job is also to see that somebody gets the right kind of treatment at the time. So we did it. So it is possible for all of us to do such things. It is not, we didn't do anything out of the way. It is just a thought. Somebody has to push it. There has to be one stimulus. If there is a stimulus, others will fall in line. So that at least out of 10, 2 people give that stimulus, we will go a long way. Then he has given Janaka studies. Anyway, I'll leave it. So, in this, Paramacharya has said a couple of very, very important things. Of course, do unto others what you want them to do to you. And after doing any action, your mind should be at peace. What others say, what happens here, what is the outcome, what people talk about, leave all that. Your inner mind should be happy. So do what will keep your mind happy. That is the most important thing. And then he says, an action which appears inconvenient now, or it doesn't look the right thing or looks somewhat difficult, if it in the long term, if it is going to have a good result, we should do it. Though today it's a little cumbersome, little difficult for us. But we know long-term effect. That's what we do with children. We scold them. Only for the long-term good effects. All of them are not ready to accept. And in the same tone, I would like to give you another example. My examples will be from hospital only. So see, Dr. Krishnan, my husband, he was unwell. And some years back, he was very unwell. And at that time, he needed blood transfusion several times. And one day when he was still attending his OP. He was in the OP. The blood bank officer rang up and said that, O negative blood is not there, sir. You may have to wait for a day. That was the conversation. And then within another half an hour or 45 minutes, the blood bank officer rang up and said, blood is available, you can come and you can take it, you can collect it. So he was wondering, how come it is available like this? Suddenly, who came and donated? And you will not believe, there was a patient in the room when this call had come, who was a renal failure patient, and whose son was accompanying him. That son had gone and donated and gone away home. He did not even come and tell, I have donated for you, doctor. So, isn't that an example of what goes around comes around? So, all of us, we should remember these small things. This is not a small thing. It's a very big incident in our life. But these are the things which make us feel doing good is worth it. It's worth it to be a good human being.
விருதாவினிலே உலகாயதம் மேலிடவே மடவார் மயலாரே அழதா கெடவே அவமாகிட நாளடைவே கழியாது உனையோதி அழதா கெடவே அவமாகிட நாளடைவே கழியாது உனையோதி அலர்த்தாளடியேன் உறவாய் மறுவோர் அழியாவரமே தருவாயே தொழுதார்வினை வேரடியோடரவே புகழ் தீர்ப்பரமே கருதேவா தொழுதார்வினை வேரடியோடரவே புகழ் தீர்ப்பரமே கருதேவா சுரர் பூபதியே கருணாலயனே சுகித அடியார் பெருவாழ்வே எழுதாமறை மாமுடிவே வடிவேல் இறைவாயனையாள் உடையோனே எழுதாமறை மாமுடிவேல் இறைவேல் இறைவாயனையாள் உடையோனே இறைவாயதுதாம் அது தாத்தனையே இணை நாகையில் வாழ் பெருமாளே அலர்த்தாளடியேன் உறவாய் மறுவோரழியாவரமே தருவாயே தனகினை நாகையில் வாழ் பெருமாளே.
So now we go to the fourth chapter. This is Jnana Yoga. Here, the importance of a guru. So in this, the story here is about Ekalavya. The greatness of Ekalavya as a student. See, he went and met Dronacharya. He wanted to be his student, and Dronacharya could not take him because he had promised that only the princes will be there, and he was a forest boy. He could not. But like now, today we have online classes. Those days also, this was a different type of online class. So he sat wherever he was in the jungle, but he learned whatever Dronacharya was teaching. So he became a great scholar. So in this, the point that we have to take is, that is, your status, your position, your wealth, your riches don't matter in life. It is what is your determination, how much you are ready to learn, what is your goal, are you working towards your goal? This is what matters. It doesn't matter that you are born in this lower class or higher class, or you're rich or you're poor, or you're dark or fair, nothing matters. It is only how determined you are to move towards your goal. So here he tries to tell us that the Lord will fulfill the desires of anybody who worships him. So this one point, if you take, see, all of us, again, I will give an example from the hospital only, because I think I know very less about other professions. So here, see, in a hospital, the lowest cadre that we consider, the cleaning, suppose the cleaning people, if they don't come to work, you think a hospital can run? It will stink. So hospital can run without a doctor, but it cannot run without the support staff. So it is our duty to make the so-called support staff, or the lowest category of people also, to feel proud of the work they do. That is our job. Not to look down upon them that they are sweeper, they are this, they are that. Our job is to make them feel, without you, the hospital cannot run. You are as important or more important than doctors in this place. So it is our duty. So that is what we should learn from Ekalavya's story. That, it doesn't matter who you are, where you are, what color, what caste, what creed, all that doesn't matter. You have to only think about what the work that you are doing, you should do it properly. In this chapter, there are these two, Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya and Paritranaya Sadhunam. I'm not going into the verbatim meanings of all this, but yes, whenever there is a loss of dharma on this earth, the Lord comes. This has been interpreted in one other way. I will come to that in the story of Prahlada. That is, I will explain.
తెలిసితే మోక్షము తెలియకున్న బంధము, తెలిసితే మోక్షము తెలియకున్న బంధము, కలవంటిది బ్రతుకు ఘనునికి తెలిసితే మోక్షము తెలియకున్న బంధము, కలవంటిది బ్రతుకు ఘనునికి తెలిసితే మోక్షము తెలియకున్న బంధము.
So now we go to chapter 5. So this is path of renunciation. All we see sannyasis, we have great expectations from sannyasis, but they are also humans like us. They have taken that role, they have decided that they are going to. So they too go through their challenges. So Swamiji from Ramakrishna Math, they will always say, we are also human beings. Don't put us on one pedestal and judge us for every action of ours. We are also human beings. Yes, we are different from you. We have tried. We are at a different level. But we are not completely, we are also not those people who have given up. So even Adi Shankara, there is a story which says that even he, such a great soul, was tested by Shiva in the form of a butcher or somebody who came, a Chandala who came and touched his feet, wherein he initially got a little perturbed. I have to go back and have a bath. But then that was the test that Shiva gave him. So even for a renounced soul, it is so tough. So let us not feel that we cannot do it. We should try. We should all take that step, that the same soul is in everybody. That thought, repeatedly, if we put that in our mind, definitely our dealing with other people will definitely change. There will be no wars in the world if that thought comes. But the thought won't come so easily. But anyway. So I just want to give an example of Amrita Anandamayi. See, we know she's a great, all of you must have heard about her. And see, there is a story in her life where leprosy patients, there is that area where Kollam and all, leprosy, it's a holo-endemic area for leprosy. Now it has changed earlier. So in those days, leprosy patients with, today we don't see leprosy patients with that kind of wounds, which we have all seen when we were students, when in Pondicherry. The kind of wounds they will have, to dress that itself, you need tremendous willpower to go and do dressing of that. This Amrita Anandamayi Amma, she used to make it a point to go into those areas, slums, and do the dressing for those people, because common people were looking at them with the kind of hate, not liking, dislike. So she used to go. So this is the way. See what all we do. These are the kind of things that we should read. Why they always tell us that read the lives of saints. Something there will strike us. Something there will attract us. Something will make us, think about. So this is one small point I wanted to tell about. And Mahaperiva has said something very, very interesting. He says that today for education, that there is money involved in the process of education. So he says that is absolutely something like, if a mother says that the child has to pay for being breastfed, it is something like that. He equates it to that. So how much he must be feeling upset about the situation that he has made such a statement. So then he says, what will become of the world? He says, why don't we go back to the earlier days when he has devised a beautiful method. He says, wise men. See, today, Vanaprastha Ashrama has become extinct. It has become parents being sent to old age homes. That is what is being talked about. But it is talked about in a very wrong manner. Earlier also, after a certain age, parents were always going into the forest. Kings were going into the forest. Everybody was moving into the forest. Today, they are moving into the old age home. So what he says is, you should go back to your village. And whatever knowledge you have, share it. Share it with the people. So this will become, you will enrich the quality of education in the villages. If the elderly move to the towns and villages, and they are welcomed there, first of all, and they are allowed to do this kind of, and they spend their time teaching. So he says, you should go back to the Gurukula system. Then the people can just 2 hours. Let them come and learn some shlokas, listen to some stories, listen to something. Go back to your work. So this way, every city, every village will become a university. That is his thought process. So let us see. Now we go to the 6th chapter. This is Dhyana Yoga. In this, the story of Dhruva. All of you know the story of Dhruva. And Uttanapada had 2 wives, Suniti and Suruchi. This Suniti's son was Dhruva. And Uttanapada, the king, was not interested in this first wife of his. And he did not want this child Dhruva to be sitting on his lap. And this story goes. All of you must be knowing the story. What is the important aspect in this is, this child at the age of 5 suddenly felt that he will go and pray to Lord Narayana and see what happens in life. And he goes away to the forest, and of course, as usual, Narada comes and helps him and gives him the mantra, and he recites the mantra, and within 6 months, he gets the darshan of the Lord, which is absolutely unimaginable. We hear of several stories in the Bhagavatam. Prachetas, they say, 10 of them did tapas for 10,000 years. And here one 5-year-old child did for 6 months and got the darshan of the Lord. So, the importance of dhyana, that you can, if you do that in the right way, the results can be there. That is the importance of dhyana here. This yoga of meditation. Here, very simple method of meditation uses the sound vibration of Om.
பணியாருள்வாய் தேடும் கயமா முகனை தெருவில் சாடும் தனியானை சகோதரனே.
In this, Adum, I'm just taking this one word only. I'm not going into the full meaning. See, it has A, U and Ma. So we have just read that Om is the center point for meditation. And Arunagirinathar in Kandar Anubhuti in the first stanza has started it with Om. So this is just to say, all these composers and musicians and saints everybody has talked about the various aspects of Gita in their compositions. That is how we have been able to collect a few songs which she is able to sing.